Howdy y'all, and welcome to Creators Gaming. Today we're going to be making some D&D terrain out of XPS foam, a wire cutter, and some cheap apple barrel paints. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. The stencils that I am using are brought by Dungeons by Hand. I bought these off of Etsy about a year or two ago. I highly recommend them. I'm very happy with their product. Here I am just doing a 1-inch cut on my foam wire cutter. I have it set at medium heat. I probably could have done it a little hotter, but still works. And I'm just going to cut these until I feel like I have enough to do my project. I don't have a set amount, it's just whatever I feel like doing. Alright, after cutting it 1 inch by 1 inch, I'm going to go ahead and cut it again at 3 inches long, because that way it will fit in my cutting mold. Also brought to you by Dungeons by Hand. I like these because you can use whichever side that you want, and you just flip it over and then cut the other side until you have a identical piece. I do these on all 4 sides, that way it looks uniform and nice and neat. And even if it cuts kind of weird, I feel that it gives the piece kind of a uniqueness. I really like that. We're going to go ahead and pause the video right here to remind you that you can become a Patreon or buy us a coffee. All proceeds go towards furthering the channel and buying supplies. If you help out, you do get a shout out. Alright, I have a pretty good little pile going, but I do want some that aren't quite as tall. I want some broken columns, so I'm going to use my scrap pieces. And there are quite a few scrap pieces to choose from. I do suppose that you can make your own molds from cardboard to cut by, but I just like Dungeons by Hand. That makes it a little easier for me anyway. But when you do this, you want to go nice and slow, that way you get a nice even cut. After I got the bottom part complete, I do want to muck up the top to make it a little less uniform and look like it just broke off and has been sitting there a while. There's no rhyme or reason to this, it's just whatever you think looks right, that's what we're going to go with. Remember, it does not have to be perfect. Matter of fact, it's better if it's not perfect. I think it looks better. Gives it character. This one I did knock out a couple extra pieces into it to give it a little bit more uniqueness to the other ones. And I will do some even shorter ones than this one. I just want it to be kind of cool looking. Like this little teeny tiny one. I did a couple of little small ones. And I'm just pinching to hold it there to keep it from sliding around, and I get a nice even cut. Doing the same thing that I did to the other one where it's not nice and even, we're going to monk it up a little bit. Alright, my base coat is going to be Snow White. No, there are no 7 dwarfs. This is just apple barrel. Corny jokes aside, we're going to go ahead and just give all of these a good even coat. Doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to go over it later with gray anyway. This is just to keep it from soaking in way too much. And y'all will notice that I do get more paint on me than the actual item itself. It's just part of the cost. And there's the rest that I have to do. We'll get those done and I will bring it back again here in a minute. Boop. Next on our color palette is called Elephant Gray, also brought to you by Apple Barrel, the most expensive. Not, I think they're maybe $1 each. They're super cheap. But anyway, there's neither here nor there. We're going to go ahead and put a nice even coat on all the pieces you see before you. I mean, if you want to use some more expensive paints, that's totally up to you, but this is just a cheap little craft and I didn't want to break the bank, so cheap paints it is. And we're just making sure to get all the little cracks and crevices that we made earlier with the wire cutter, and it will be golden. And I'm just going to speed it up a little bit where I do not bore y'all to death. There's nothing worse than watching paint dry. Okay, maybe watching glue dry, but still, you get the point. Next color on the paint palette is called Nutmeg Brown, also by Apple Barrel, and I'm using a crappy little sponge that I have and a scrap piece of cardboard because we go super cheap. And we're going to just stencil the edges with this. We're not going to go too heavy-handed, though if you do go heavy-handed, it will be fine. Just, we want the gray to kind of poke out just a little bit. And the next color on our color palette is called Crisp Green, and we're just going to stencil that on there with a fresh sponge. I guess you could wait until the brown dries and then use that one instead, but I'm impatient and I want it to kind of blend in better. This is called wet blending. Words are hard today, folks. The last and final color is called Sunny Day. And it is in fact a sunny day here. We're just going to do the same thing that we did to the other beds, and it's still, I wanted to still be wet, that way we can do a little bit of wet blending and it looks better, I think, in the long run. Now if it looks too bright, we are going to be doing a wash, and this is just done with a dark ink and water. You're going to lightly do that, and it looks a little dark at first, but it lightens up. Don't worry. Don't be scared. It'll be okay. And like I said earlier, I do end up getting more paint on myself. I didn't realize how much paint I have caked on my fingers. Ta-da! Done. Well, there you have it. Super easy, super cheap. Didn't hardly take any time at all. Most of what you're waiting on is the dry time, which is the truth with just about everything other than waiting for glue to dry. So if you like the channel, please hit the like, subscribe, share the channel. It helps out a whole lot, and I hope to see y'all again next time. Bye. Like and subscribe. Do it. Do it. Do it.